Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At least I hope you're having a wonderful evening, and I hope that everything is going to work this evening. The black screen I'm currently seeing on my preview indicates that might not be the case, and I guess I don't need these headphones today by virtue of the fact that Elias is not able to join us here this evening. So, get the right thing up here, and we'll take a look at some things. I'm trying to see if I can figure out what's going on, why my internet is so unstable, and I got nothing. So anyway, I see that we've got quite the conversation going on in the live chat over here. As a matter of fact, I've joined in a little bit. I see Riemann Scimitar, Randall Hill, George Washington, all in the conversation. So, anyway, welcome guys, and Randall, I hope everything goes well with you as far as that potential hospital visit. And, yeah, hopefully your work hours are able to pick back up for you. My wife and I were very blessed through all this time of stay-at-home orders and quarantine stuff that we didn't end up in any financial hardship, and so my heart definitely goes out to everybody who was in a situation where they had some financial hardship. Ninja, welcome, thanks for joining. And it looks like I'm having some serious packet loss here though, so hopefully this all smooths out. Yeah, my upload speed doesn't look to be nearly what it should be. Can't answer why. So, for anybody curious, once again, assuming that eventually we're going to stabilize and things are going to start working, I have a few, or had a few, I don't know what my current status is, situations going on with the internet. As I have mentioned before, because of where we live, I do utilize fixed wireless internet, and I also pay to have a static IP address. And I think something is still messed up with the static IP, but an equipment reset last week got me to a position where I think that my NATed IP is working more or less correctly. I say more or less because I see that we're still having some upload glitches, which could have to do with capacity on the radios. I don't know. I'm an IT guy, but even this is a little bit above my understanding and pay grade. So, Josh, thanks for joining us today, bud. And we will get underway. Let's see if I can pause that live preview. Seeing myself over on my other screen is really messing with me. I would like to start this evening by keeping, I don't have a name here, but Elias did message me about half an hour or 45 minutes ago, and he said that there was a Viper crash at his last posting, and the pilot did not make it. So I guess keep your thoughts and prayers on the family of this as yet unnamed pilot who, whatever the situation was, he made the ultimate sacrifice in service for our country. So definitely want to take a moment and remember that situation. On to happier news. I did see right before sat down and started trying to go live. I'm still not convinced just exactly how live we are right now, but June NICS checks numbers are in, and according to the document I just took a look at, I can't find that document. Be a good place to start a YouTube channel, wouldn't it? Good grief. It was something in the neighborhood of 3.9 million background checks run last month. I don't know that that number is exactly correct. I know it was something 0.9, and I know that it was 0.2 higher than March, which was one of our previous records. So way to go, everyone. I guess way to go. Maybe not, because let's face it, the reason there were so many background checks is because most everyone spent the month of June terrified out of their gourds that somebody was going to throw a brick and a Molotov cocktail through their living room window. So there's that. Oh man, Josh, I thought that you had gotten a job, bud. And we haven't talked in a couple of months. I'm sorry about that. That's a hard time. We've all hashed and rehashed this whole pandemic situation till we were blue in the face and flatlined between the ears. And I've said it before that in this day of unrivaled data access, I question the information that I have more and more, and I hate that. Once upon a time, I feel like I could have turned to the news and had a reasonable amount of trust for what I was reading, and now I think every bit of it is just propaganda, and so feel like none of us know what to believe. But what I know is that we have folks like you guys out there who are just being slammed by this pandemic. And so to that end, we need states to start reasonably releasing some of the stranglehold that they have on individuals. But what is the right answer there? And the problem that we have nationwide is, of course, that there is no one size that fits all. And I know all you guys are smart enough to know this. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. It helps me out when I've got the whole split screen going on where I've got somebody talking back to me right about in this vicinity. But anyway, even within a state, what is the right answer for Indianapolis, maybe Gary, Lake County, is not necessarily the answer for a county that is cornfields and a handful of houses, So I had a friend or an acquaintance, or sure, we'll go with that, a friend, from a different online community, and he was screaming that he wanted to see national mask mandates. And I'm like, but nationwide, one size doesn't fit all. It rarely does. So, yeah. Anyway, man, we're starting this stream out really depressing. I didn't mean to do that. That wasn't necessarily the plan. Unfortunately, on our Wednesday night constitutional considerations, a lot of times we end up talking about things that can sort of really be a downer, because we see kind of the precipice of the downfall of society as we know it. And I guess maybe to a degree, every generation has a similar precipice. And it's, we all know it's not about the problems we face. That's not what defines us, but rather it's how we overcome those problems. So I don't know, that made some sort of sense when I thought it, so I said it, and there it is. All right, let's see what we got. Well, first off, for those of you who tried to join me last week, where things were even worse than what I'm dealing with this evening, as far as internet reliability, our big story last week was really the fact that either last Tuesday or last Wednesday, that everybody with a Gunstreamer account received an email saying that they were having to shutter the service. The funding just wasn't there, and the engagement just wasn't there the way they needed it. And it was with a heavy heart that they sent out that notice. And I know different creators have a different experience. Gun Guy TV, for instance, I emailed back and forth with Joel because he's having issues with his YouTube content not pulling over to Gunstreamer properly. But he has no problem with his YouTube content mirroring over to his BitChute account. I, on the other hand, can't reliably get my content to mirror over to BitChute. So as a matter of fact, I have to manually upload every video after I premiere it on YouTube. I have to manually re-upload that to BitChute, and then I don't know, I personally have an issue where my BitChute videos sometimes never finish processing. So yeah, evidently he's not having that problem. Regardless, for a long while, I'd say for probably the first 6 months of the life of my channel, I actually got more views on Gunstreamer than I was getting here on YouTube. And that has changed because you guys are awesome, and you guys are building a great community around my humble little channel, and I really appreciate that. And so you guys sharing videos and sharing the channel is really driving engagement, and so that has switched in the last year or so. But for a while, yeah, anyway, I'm happy to say though, the original email had said that June 30th was going to be the last day of service on Gunstreamer, and so today I refreshed the page to just see, what their message was, and I still had a Gunstreamer channel, and I thought that was weird. And then this afternoon I got an email saying that they were able to partner up. Hang on, let me just read the email because I am not going to do it justice. They were able to form a relationship with Gun Critic, and so the platform is staying where it is with the support from the Gun Critic team. And so hopefully that's able to continue. And so I would like to challenge you guys, and I guess I need to look in the mirror and challenge myself too. I consume a lot of content on YouTube. If you can't find something to watch on YouTube, then I'm not sure what you're into, because I think I read there's something like 500 minutes of content uploaded every second. And YouTube is just absolutely the elephant in the room. That's why, as much as I would like to shift my focus to a more open platform, if I want to gain any traction in the creator space, the video creator space, I know that I need to be on YouTube. And other platforms don't have things like this live stream capacity. So anyway, that said, maybe try to make sure that you're watching some of your favorite creators' content over on platforms like Gunstreamer or other Pro 2A platforms where it's available, just to generate traffic and generate revenue for those platforms. And definitely, if you're like me and you run an ad block, and for the most part I wholeheartedly recommend that, just because I've had more than one malicious advertiser attempt to do bad things to my computer. But on platforms or on websites like Gunstreamer and other websites that you want to make sure that you're supporting, when you know that they're ad supported, make sure that you whitelist those websites in your ad block software so that they can still have an opportunity at ad revenue. So, all right, let's see. Nephew volunteers retirement home. Downers are a bit of a reality check, unfortunately. And guys, I do apologize for the buffering. I see here on OBS that I've dropped something like 65% of the packets, and I don't know what's going on here. So we will, if you guys are willing to try to battle through it, then I will keep going and try to get through things tonight, and I will let my ISP know that I was still having drop packets, and see if they can maybe use this data to figure out what's actually going on with my connection. It has all been within the last couple of weeks, and it's very frustrating for me, and I know it's frustrating on your end because I've watched other creators with laggy live streams, and it's not the most enjoyable thing. So there we go. In fact, what I'm going to do is see if I can't grab a hold of this. And I want to point out for anybody watching who is a fellow Hoosier, as of today, House Bill 1284 went into effect. It extended the 4-year handgun carry permit to a 5-year and made that free of charge. It's reduced the price of the lifetime permit and provides immunity for a justified use of force to help prevent frivolous lawsuits. So that said, I still recommend carrying something like USCCA, or was it US Law Shield, or whatever carry insurance that you prefer. I'd recommend still keeping that active, just in case you are maybe in another state or whatever, just to help cover things in the upfront. But I've always thought that it was a little ridiculous that you could be in a situation where a court of law proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that you committed no crime, that it was a justifiable use of force, and yet the attacker or the attacker's family could still take you to court. I always thought that was kind of dumb, and I'm glad that Indiana is taking steps to mitigate that. I have a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about. One is that I did see that the bill to make DC, the District of Columbia, the 51st state, has passed the House, and that's a dumb idea. The founders intentionally separated DC out into its own district that wasn't a state for a reason. You can read the Federalist Papers. This was all hashed and rehashed and discussed and decided 200 plus years ago. I'm really happy to see that President Trump has said he will veto this if it makes it to his desk. Hopefully the Senate has some brains and it doesn't make it out of there. What's this guy? The Nix Review Act. I've got a this is HR 821, and this is a bunch of horse dookie. Basically what this Nix Review Act is, it changes the way that the FBI is allowed to retain data on Nix Proceed decisions. So I'm sure probably all you guys know, but when you go in to buy a firearm from an FFL, you have to fill out a form 4473. I think I got that number right. Too many numbers rattling around in my head. And anyway, that information gets called in or sent in to the FBI, and they either give a proceed, deny, or delay. And if it is a proceed, that NICS check data is supposed to be purged from the system within 24 hours. This HR 821 would put a floor on there to where it's retained for at least 90 days, and potentially there is no ceiling set. So this is at least 90, possibly indefinitely. This is absolutely a backdoor gun registration, because if they never have to destroy that data, they're not going to. And then they know who has what serial numbers, and that, my friends, is what is called a gun registry. And a registry is historically always a precursor to confiscation. Live packet test, help figure out what's going on from there. Alright, Riemann has messaged me in a side channel and given me some stuff that I can do to try to help get this cleared up. I really am sorry about this, guys. So as I mentioned, I have fixed wireless internet, and it has performed flawlessly for something like 3 years now. And a couple weeks ago I started having issues once again with my static IP, and I switched. When you purchase a static IP from my ISP, they give you a switch that also allows you to still use a NATed IP. And as a troubleshooting step, a lot of times if I'm having issues on the static IP, I'll reconfigure my router to use DHCP and test it behind the NATed IP. And a couple weeks back I was having problems, and I switched it over, and then I forgot about it. And then last week, it was actually last Tuesday, all of a sudden I was having major problems. Well, in troubleshooting with my ISP late last week, I opened a trouble ticket Thursday morning first thing, and troubleshooting with them Thursday and Friday, I was talking to the head wireless engineer, and he had informed me that there has been a major source of interference crop up within the last 2 or 3 weeks, and they have yet to pinpoint it and don't know who or what it is. I can tell you what it is it's annoying, and I wish that they would just string glass to my house and let me have fiber into my home, and we would all be very happy. Very, very happy. I miss having fiber optic internet in Chattanooga. Anyway, that was a little bit of a rant, I guess, maybe. Hey, Brastard, welcome, and Poor Conservative, welcome. And once again, guys, I understand that I'm buffering. Once again, on this stream, I can see right here that I've got 65.3% packet loss. What I'm going to do is, at the end of this stream, I will probably unlist the live replay and actually upload my local recorded copy, just because this has been pretty rough. So I appreciate you guys hanging with me. I know it's annoying, and again, in respect for the frustration, I think that we're not going to hang out as long as I would like to. I enjoy getting some good conversation going, but when it's not working, it's not working. So, couple more things real quick, and some of this again is from last week, because we weren't able to have our hangout last week. But this is the Freedom Financing Act, and basically this is going to not allow financial institutions to refuse to deal with FFO holders under, the reputational risk. So the one thing I don't know, it does specifically say that like banks and credit cards would not be allowed to discriminate. I don't know if this would be a way that they could force PayPal to play nicely. It's a little frustrating. I'm not a fan of PayPal as a company, but I'm a fan of PayPal as a platform. If they were a little less like political, where you can't use it for firearms accessories, ammunition, so on and so forth, just because that gives me a location that's seems relatively secure, and then that way I don't have to actually share credit card data with vendors, because the fewer places you have that out, the less likely it is for something to get hacked. So, all right, and then the last thing that I want to talk about this evening, and depending on how much of a delay you guys are having on this, is the, let's see, Monday morning is when we saw this. I think it occurred over the weekend that Mr. and Mrs. McCloskey, Mr. and Mrs. McCloskey from St. Louis, Missouri, ended up warding off a potential angry mob using an AR-15 and then a handgun of some sort. And there's a lot of discussion, a whole lot of discussion that has been had about this. As far as the handling of the AR-15, from what I saw, I have no problem with it. There's a lot of people out there saying, well, he was flagging people who weren't an immediate threat. Okay, but he had really good trigger discipline, and the whole reason I believe that he had his AR-15 in his hand is because this mob they had broken down a gate and come onto his private property. Okay, so if I had a privacy fence around my yard and a mob crashed through it, I would be, that's trespassing. And I don't know what St. Louis's laws are as far as castle doctrine and stand your ground, but I can tell you in Indiana, that is reasonable cause for use of lethal force. So, anyway, so that said, he has said in an interview, and I will copy and paste my source here. Backing up. he said that members of this peaceful protest were telling him and his wife that they were next and that they were going to burn down their home. There was absolutely threats of violence, and in a group that size against two unarmed individuals, no, that's absolutely justifiable to bring a force multiplier to bear. And as far as muzzle discipline, his muzzle discipline or lack thereof, my understanding is, you treat every firearm as though it's loaded. Yep, okay. Never point a firearm at something you're not willing to destroy. Well, fellas, ladies, if we've got any ladies in the audience or any ladies stumble upon this later, you go threatening my family and there's dozens or hundreds of you and me and my family, I'm absolutely willing to destroy. Doesn't mean I want to destroy. It doesn't mean that I necessarily intend, but I am absolutely willing. So, given the situation, I really don't necessarily find a lot of fault with Mr. McCloskey's action. The worst part is that I actually know some McCloskeys, and I'm struggling this hard. Now, his wife, on the other hand, we continue on through the rules of firearm safety, and one of them has to do with keeping your finger off the trigger until you are ready to actuate it. So I do take some exception, a lot of exception with her firearm handling. But I'm going to guess that if their home is anything like our home, my home, as much as I try to train and I try to get to the range, my wife does not. So I think in a situation like that, in legitimate fear for our life, I absolutely have stuff back there in that black box that she could use to help protect the family. Excuse me. And I think in that moment she would be willing to, but she doesn't have and hasn't had the training that I have, and I'm desperately trying to get her to go to the range with me on the occasion at least. But until that time, it would probably be a similar situation in my household. So anyway, I do want to congratulate the members of the 2A community that have offered constructive criticism or have offered free training for that couple. So yeah, I don't know that raking them over the coals is the right answer. And yeah, there's a lot of other thoughts that I have on the situation, but without knowing more information about the couple and their belief system, and now if they come out with an attitude of guns for me but not for thee, that'll absolutely change some of my view. But at the end of the day, that was the essence. That was part of the essence of the Second Amendment right there. Once again, we all have to be prepared to be our own first responder. And Mr. McCloskey was able to put into action something. Go into action at a time when some people would have just absolutely frozen up. So So Armed Ape, thank you for joining, and yes, I know the buffering is bad. We're going to go ahead and start working on wrapping up just because of the fact that 65% of the packets I've tried to send out have not gone anywhere. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys joining and hanging out with me and putting up with the buffering. I did look this morning and it looks like we're only about 90 subs away from the 500 subscriber mark. So you guys are once again awesome, sharing the videos, sharing the channel, and you guys have been just fantastic in all of the communities that we are rubbing shoulders in. You guys have been fantastically supportive, and I really do appreciate it so much. So in order to say thank you once again at the 500 subscriber mark, we will be doing a giveaway. I have a few prizes in mind, and so but I'm not going to spoil that until such a time as it's time to do it. If you are in a position that you would like to help support the channel and get snazzy clothing, this design made by Poor Conservative, you guys can head over to the merchandise store and grab yourself a t-shirt printed on American made Hanes tees. And I don't know what shipping's looking like right now. I do know that all of the clothing places were being delayed because of the pandemic. I'm not sure what the current situation is. If you would like to support the channel directly, I would majorly appreciate that. You guys have seen what ammo prices are looking like, and I realize that it's not something everybody can do, but if you're in a position to do so and you would like to, you can do that over on Patreon or now on Subscribestar. So I've had people ask which is better, and from the creator standpoint, Patreon just seems a little more fluid, but I think from First and Second Amendment standpoint, probably Subscribestar. So Subscribestar looks like though that right now I just have like a $1 tier, and on Patreon you can choose to give whatever amount you want. So you can do $1 or you can do $100 or whatever. Subscribestar looks like I might actually have to build out tiers for anybody who wants to support more than the base, and I don't know. I guess when people start joining the Subscribestar community, I will dig into that just a little bit more. So guys, I wish that the stream was a little bit more stable this week, like it was a couple weeks ago. I also wish that Elias was able to jump on with us. Just you know, trying to talk back and forth. You guys are absolutely active in the discussion, but it's, you know, I got to look over here and look over there and do this and that, and it's just, you know, a little bit easier when you're talking to somebody audibly. But appreciate though. So I guess I should look into what you guys are saying since I'm talking about that. PayPal, Poor Conservative. Yeah, again, I don't disagree that from a freedom standpoint. But from a secure convenience standpoint, does that make sense? A lot of times you trade security for convenience, and PayPal seems to have that part of it figured out. So but yeah, anyway, so yeah, I guess. And Brastard, I don't disagree. Going to an FFL and filling out a 4473 is consenting to gun control. I do as much stuff side channel as I can. That gun show loophole that doesn't exist, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, you know, things have been rough. You guys have stuck with me. I do have some more content filmed, and yeah, I can make all sorts of excuses. I just didn't get around to the editing room, and yeah, that said, I did finally get an in-stock notification for some, give me a second, I'll think of it, the Hornady Critical Duty. So expect to see the AKV out in another video relatively soon, and yeah, hopefully we can ease up on some of this ammunition stuff. But first, I think that the civil unrest is gonna have to die down. So all right, why is this? There we go. Heck, YouTube's not even wanting to let me click. Yeah, guys, this internet situation is unfortunately looks like unraveling even more as the video goes along. So I'm going to sign off. Thanks again for joining, and until next time, shoot straight, stay safe.